Sometimes I wake up and I look at myself and I ask, am I smart? Is that a thing? Like, as I'm getting older, am I just like getting dumber? Like, is that what's happening? Because I feel like my reading comprehension used to be really great. Like, I feel like I was pretty good. I would say I was a pretty smart person. But I feel like the older I get and the more books I read, the stupider I feel. And that's kind of how this book made me feel. So, this is a book review for What Lies in the Woods. This is a book of the month choice for January, and man, I have not read a book that has made me more confused than this one has in a long time. And I'm just sitting here like, is it me? Am I the problem? I feel like the Taylor Swift song, actually. It's exactly how I felt. Am I the problem in this situation, or did it really just get that out of hand at the end that I don't know what's going on? Also, I'm sorry, I look like a mess. I worked last night, I got home, and first thing I did was get woken up by my neighbors this morning at 8 in the morning. I work second shift, so I didn't get home until late last night. Got woken up at 8 this morning, and then I just read until now, and I feel like a crazy person because I feel gross, I look gross, and this book has ruined my brain for the morning. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read again for a couple of days. Like, my brain feels a little bit like mush, and I don't know if it's because I'm tired or because I rushed through the ending or just because I don't know. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about all that in spoilers. But first, we're gonna talk about the generic story, my rating, what I thought about it, who should read this, trigger warnings, etc. So stick around, make sure you subscribe for more book reviews, and let's get into this little baby right here. So if you haven't heard, this book is following our main character, who was the victim of a serial killer when she was a child, about 11 years old, and has left her disfigured, and her two best friends were witnesses in what happened, and they are still friends to this day, and there's just things going on in the background, etc. That's pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much, if you want to read this, that's all I would go into knowing this in this book, because this is a wild ride. This book is a wild ride. It's why I annotated it. My annotations mean nothing, because I use my annotations to try and guess what's going to happen, and they might as well be little pieces of uselessness, because not once, well, there was a moment. I did get a couple things right, but not all together. Adding everything together in this book, I got like little pieces, and then I'm sitting there going, it's like that meme where that guy is like trying to do math in his head. That was me reading the ending of this book. But I would say this was still a fun ride. I gave it a 3, even though I still don't know if I fully comprehend what happened at the end. It was entertaining. I loved our main character, Naomi. So like I said, we're following Naomi, and she's kind of just, it's her in her adult life now. Scars have healed. She's kind of dealing with what's going on, still has a lot of trauma, and the book opens with her almost killer dying in jail. And it's her going back to her little small hometown where all this happened, meeting up with her friends, and that's what kicks off the whole story. There's a podcaster that she talks to throughout the book. There's a romantic plot that's not heavy romance. It's pretty neat, though. I actually like that it was in there. I thought it broke up some of the darkness that was throughout this book. This book is pretty dark. Man, and I have such big impacts on my life. Dang, I need to go take a nap. There is generational trauma in this. There is cover-ups, there is drunk family members, there is literally everything. Everything you could imagine being in a thriller is in this book. Trigger warnings. We'll get to those really fast because there are some major trigger warnings. Hints and one blatant scene of sexual assault. So I don't know on a scale of 1 to 10 like how bad it is. The one scene definitely made me really uncomfortable. It wasn't super graphic, but it was definitely uncomfortable. And then it's hinted at our main character being uncomfortable with thoughts about it throughout the rest of the book. So I wouldn't say it's in your face. There's a terrible scene that happens, but it's there and it's talked about, and it's definitely something to be aware of before going into this book. Moving on. Like I said, I gave this a 3. There are definitely some things I weirdly enjoyed about this book. I loved our main character. I loved the dynamic of our main character with all these different people. It was very complicated. Every person in this book, she had a different type of relationship with, and something always felt off with everything. Something felt wrong. Like there was something missing that we didn't know. So I thought that was really great. We also were within Naomi's perspective, basically, so we did not know stuff going on. We were learning stuff as she was going, and I actually thought it worked really, really well in this sense because she is a childhood victim of a crime and therefore actually doesn't remember a lot of the crime that happened. So people act weird around her sometimes. People seem like they're lying about things, and we don't know any of it. So we're kind of uncovering this cloud in her memory with her, which I actually did really enjoy, and that's why it's at a 3. I loved the romance that was going on in this. Again, not a huge part, but it was fun. It broke up. This is a pretty dark book. This is a pretty dark book. It broke up the monotony of the darkness, and it kind of would give you a hint of light, and it showed a lot of growth in her character because she did grow a lot through using this romance and becoming friends with this person. And I really, really appreciated that. I also liked that I had no idea where this was going. Like, I really thought I knew. I really thought I knew exactly. I thought I was going to get to the end and be like, boom, boom, I got it. And then I got to the end and I was like, dang. And what's amazing about that is I am a true crime buff. This is definitely taken from a thing that happened. So there's definitely a true crime story that this is based after, and I did not see it coming. And I was like, dang. So when I got to the end, I was like, wow, they really like, the hints were there too. The hints were there. And obviously it doesn't follow exactly the original case because in the original case, the perpetrators did not get away. They got caught pretty quickly. So yeah, so that's why it didn't like 100% like fall into line with it. But once you got to the end, it was like, this is definitely that case. This is definitely that case. So that was very impressive that I did not pick up on that because normally I pick up on that pretty fast. That was pretty impressive. And I think it's because I had no idea where the ending was going. If you knew where the ending was going, you could connect the dots very quickly about what true crime case this was. But we will talk about that at the end. That'll probably be the first thing I talk about because I literally just finished this like 5 minutes ago. So that's what I really want to talk about. Things that I didn't like. I didn't love the end. I thought there was too much. I feel like it was done obviously on purpose because it could have been very obvious since it was using an original true crime case, but I felt like it got so convoluted. Like this person connected to this person, connected to this person, connected to this person, and I was like, what's happening? So I started getting really, really confused toward the end, and the reveal happened so quickly. Like it went from 0 to 60. And I was like, okay, this needed maybe a couple more pages to spread out a little bit because it just went from she has no idea what's going on to end. And I was like, oh, shoot. So didn't love that. I wish that had been spread out a little more at the end because I was definitely confused. I definitely read some of the last pages multiple times trying to figure out what's going on. My dog is just sitting there huffing at me. And I will say, even though, in my opinion, the middle to end of the book moved pretty quickly, I will say the beginning of the book did move a little slowly, and it took me a little bit to get into it because I wasn't sure exactly where it was going. And it was more like reminiscing about trauma than an actual like storyline going. But once it like kicked off and it did pretty good. And I would say, it says it's a thriller. I would say it's more mystery suspense. Like you're definitely trying to solve a mystery. And I don't know if I ever felt she was in any real danger until like the end. So for me, it felt like more like you were following along with a dark mystery compared to a thriller. Oh, and one more thing that I really liked, the relationship with the dad. So like I said, there's some trauma that goes on with family members and stuff like that, dealing with having bad parents, etc. And our main character has to deal with that. And I really loved the addition of her relationship with her dad and the healing and how it ended, because there is a section dealing with him at the end as well. So that, I really love that. And normally I'm not like a big sucker for that, but I was like, I really liked that. It's probably my favorite part of the book, actually. I really enjoyed the way it was done because it was subtle, but it was also kind of always there. So I was like, okay, I like this. Now, people who should read this, I don't know. I feel like if you want, I would read this if you want to try and solve something. Again, maybe I'm like the only person who was super confused at the end of this book and didn't see it coming really at all. Minus, like, again, we'll talk about it in spoilers, but really didn't see it at all. And I think this would be really fun to try and solve, because I had a lot of fun doing this. Like, I had a lot of fun trying to figure out who was doing it, and then I was completely wrong. So that I had a really, really good time doing. So I would say people who want to try and solve a case to do this. Okay, that's pretty much all I want to talk about without spoilers, because I am not kidding you when I say the spoilers. There are so many in this book. We're not going to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about the basics, and I'm sure I'm going to forget some I want to talk about because rampant. So let's get into the spoilers. First thing I want to talk about is the case that this is, I'm pretty sure, based after, and it is the Slender Man case. If you guys don't know anything about the Slender Man case, it is about these two little girls who attempt to murder their friend in the woods as a sacrifice to Slender Man, so that Slender Man can take them away to his mansion or whatever, and they get prizes. I don't know, something like that. But one of the little girls had schizophrenia, and one of the little girls kind of was just like the tag along and was super guilty about all that happening, and not exactly sure. There are some things that people will say about that case. There's some controversy over it. Some people think that one of the little girls was actually the mastermind and she was manipulating the other one. I'm not going to get too into it. I don't know it enough to get into it, but the second I saw that Cass and Olivia were the ones who stabbed her, I was like, this is Slender Man. And I even looked it up because they said it was 17 stab wounds in here. It was 19 in the real case, and the girl survived. So I was like, it's definitely based after this, because in this book, they find a skeleton, name her Persephone. They name themselves the goddesses, and they're playing goddess games, and they decide that they need to, two of the girls, or one of them, the mastermind behind it, decides that they need a sacrifice for Persephone so that Persephone loves them, etc. And they try to kill the third girl, our main character. So I was like, this is exactly like the Slender Man case. So I was very impressed that that was snuck in there, and I honestly did not see it coming. Now, like I said, talking about spoilers, the thing that kicks off the book is Olivia is killed or kills herself. Trigger warning. Another trigger warning is talk about suicide. I just brushed it over because it wasn't really suicide. Olivia, we end up knowing, obviously she didn't kill herself. She was murdered, and I really thought, so here is my prediction. Here's what I got out. The things I got right, I knew it was very obvious that Ethan was the original killer's son. Very obvious that the guy who supposedly was put away for the attempted murder was a guy named Stahl, and his son is Ethan, the romantic interest of our main character, Naomi. See how it's already starting to get a little convoluted? But that one was really obvious. That one I was able to latch my brain onto pretty early, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. I understand what's going on. So I got that right. I knew Stahl wasn't going to be her actual killer, but that he was killing other women, that's fine, whatever. Latched onto that was fine. I thought that the whole town was covering it up, which they were. The whole town knew exactly what happened. But I thought that Big Jim, Cass's dad, who's the mayor, he was having an affair with the girl Persephone, who turned out to be, her name was Jessie Walker. And I thought they were having an affair, and she tried to run off or tell his wife, etc. He kills her. And when he goes back to make sure she's still there, like he hears whispers that his daughters found something in the woods, or Cass told the dad they found something in the woods. He goes back to check, finds Naomi, our main character, attacks her, leaves her there for dead. Cass sees that it's her dad, hides, like covers up for her dad. The dad calls Cody, the friend who found Naomi, our main character, and brought her out of the woods. Called him, said to clean it up because Cody gets a job and starts getting into politics after this. So obviously has a connection there. And that's what I thought. And I thought this was one big cover up for the dad killing the Persephone, the skeleton, and accidentally killing her, etc. So nothing right. Nothing right. Oh, and then I thought that Cass killed Olivia to continue covering for her dad because Olivia was going to spill the beans about Big Jim trying to kill Naomi. See how convoluted this was? It took me forever to come up with that. And obviously, that was not right. It was actually like the original, what our main character thought. So when she started thinking it, I was like, dang it, I'm wrong. Because we're not near the end of the book enough. So I was wrong. And what actually turned out happened was Olivia obviously has issues with mental health, which, again, don't love that being used, but they did it based on the Slender Man case, so I will concede that one. And she was able to be convinced by Cass, who was jealous of Olivia and Naomi's friendship, that Naomi needed to die. So Olivia stabbed her once and couldn't do it, decided she couldn't do it, was freaked out, panicked, so Cass stabbed her the other 16 times and left her for dead. And Cody really did just find her, and most likely because he was out there. I see, that's the part I'm confused about. I'm like, I don't know why Cody was out there to begin with, but Cody found her, did really save her. However, he's the one who inadvertently killed the girl in the woods, which is probably why he was out there making sure they weren't messing with that, because he knew they played in the woods. So the girl in the woods he was in love with, she was having an affair with the mayor. So I got that right. That was pretty easy to guess. She was having an affair with the mayor, but on the night that the mayor broke up with her, she was pissed. The mayor did have a connection to the boy, Cody, called Cody. Cody comes to pick her up, tries to drive her home. She's pissed off, yelling at him, screaming at him, drunk. He shoves her, or she needs to throw up. They get out of the car. He shoves her, she hits her head, and he leaves her for dead. And she crawls to where she ended up dying. She went to sleep because it was raining, so she crawled under where they found her into this like log thing. So technically Cody accidentally killed her, left her for dead, went to the mayor's house, they covered it up and left her body there, etc. And then however 2 years later or something like that, that's when the girls started playing the goddess game. They found the body and then decided to stab Naomi. Cody finds her, brings her back, and then obviously they cover it up. Like, they find the girls covered in blood, and all the families get together in the town and they cover everything up. So I was just like, okay, give me a second, because this timeline is confusing me. All the characters involved are confusing me. So I need a second to figure out what's happening. Because then you had, I don't know. I was so confused. I thought Cody was a really good red herring because he seemed like the obvious choice, and then he turned out to be the choice. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about using the Slender Man vibe for this book. That's kind of what's thrown me off, because I was really enjoying it until the fact that the girls were the ones who tried to kill her. So I don't know. That's why I gave it a 3, because I'm so in the middle about this book, and it's so wild, and I got so confused while reading the end of it that I was like, is this a 4 or is this a 2? What's happening? So I just landed in the middle. But yeah. Oh, and then Cass, this is the other part that confused me, because there was even another layer, because Olivia's dead, so we had to know who killed Olivia, and it turned out it was Cody came and killed Olivia because Olivia was going to tell on them what actually happened, and Cass had convinced Olivia that Olivia was the one who stabbed Naomi like 17 times, so Cass was just manipulating people the whole time, and Cass was the one who told Cody to go kill Olivia. So was it really Olivia who killed? That's what I'm talking about. This book got so convoluted. I don't think it needed to be as convoluted as it was. I feel like just having the Slender Man aspect, that would have been enough. Involving Cody in all of this was too much. I feel like they should have removed the Cody part, just had the dad kill Persephone or whatever, and just have that be like, because it was basically a red herring. The Jesse side of it was a red herring to try and connect everything when it wasn't super connected, except Cass being able to blackmail Cody, basically. So I feel like it could have been lessen the confusion level a little bit, at least for me. Probably other people were fine, but dang, I felt stupid after reading this book, and it took me a while to kind of put everything together, and I still don't know if I got everything right. So that's all I'm going to talk about in this book. Let me know what you guys thought about this book in the comments down below. If you were as confused as I was, or you got it. I want to know if I was just like out on an island by myself. Let me know if you totally understood what happened. Explain to me things that happened if I did not get them right, because I would really love to know 100% what happened in this book without feeling like an idiot. So yeah, let me know what you thought about this pick as a book of the month, and comment down below, subscribe, like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.